Hey everyone, it's Tony Will. I am back with another fabulous episode of Women In. I have the best people in my life. And you'll hear today how my guest and I met, but it is through these connections that are just across the country that are so cool. So I won't dive into that quite yet because you need to know what you're listening to first. But Women In is a podcast that celebrates women and the individuals in their lives who are lifting them up. You're going to hear from all kinds of super cool people in my life, and they're going to share their stories to inspire others to support all their extraordinary women around them. This is a space to be disruptive, forward-thinking, and change agents for humankind. It is uncensored, fun, and curiosity-driven. This is what I'm passionate about, breaking down barriers for my kids' generation. It's equal parts about my guests and the places we came into each other's lives, whether it be the Kalamazoo Wings, Mindfulness Elevated, Tony Will Coaching, or you happen to be in my family and friends circle. My guest today is let me zoom out. Stacey Garcia. My Mac is going crazy. That's all right. We show flaws and all on my podcast. Stacey is a third generation dancer and has always prioritized health and wellness. With over 15 years of experience in the fitness industry, she has transitioned into the wellness space as a personal trainer and a health coach, eventually co-owning a boutique fitness studio with her husband. In 2024, a cancer diagnosis led her to reinvent herself, becoming a Reiki Master Practitioner, and launching her own podcast, Never Miss a Monday. Now she is passionate about guiding others on their journey to a happier, healthier, and more fulfilling life. Hi, Stacey.
Hello, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited I'm going to let the cat out of the bag a little bit.
Yes.
To meet you because we literally met about, 5 minutes ago for the first time.
That's right.
So the first question I always ask is, how did we meet? So share with the audience how you and I were connected.
Yeah, of course. We were connected through Laura Cathcart Robbins, as well as Scotty Slaughter. I call him Scotty. I don't know if he goes by Squat. He's always been Scotty to me because that's what Laura's always called him. A wonderful couple, powerhouse couple. They have been friends of ours. They were a client of our gym for many, many years. And then we developed a wonderful friendship. And I've been an absolute fan of Laura's, honestly, with her book, her podcast, just who she is as a person, how she just tells her story and helps so many people. And that kind of inspired me about a year ago to take a podcasting course from her. I was like, I've always been a creative and I've kind of taken my creativity a little bit on the back burner. I was a dancer, as you said, and I loved acting and I just loved creating. And then I even brought a little bit into the gym industry. I taught like ballet bar classes but I haven't done too much creative. I was like, you know what, I'm going to explore this wonderful world of podcasting. So I took a course from her. And then when that concluded, I signed up with Scotty to be my producer. I was like, I need help. I want to be creative. I don't want to think about the ins and outs so much. And so Scotty and Laura have been our connection. You were on their show and vice versa. And Scott one day said, I have the perfect person for you to connect with. Tony, it's happening. And, that's history.
He did. He sent me an email and I'm like, anyone, when Scott or Laura reaches out, that good people are going to come into my life. And right away, you and I, and we're just getting started. We have so much in common. Just from me reading your bio, I'm like, oh, there's so much to dig into here. Let's talk about the podcast first, because we're both, I guess, what I would call podcast newbies in the world. I launched Women In last May. And I did not take any course. I just said, I'm going to do this.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Well, I know, but I'm like, I should have thought about this, and it's all working out, but so when you took the podcast course, tell me about that. Cause I think other people are going to listen to both of our podcasts and be like, how do I do this? Because, so what did you learn? And you obviously launched it, cause I'm going to be on your podcast in a couple of weeks. So
that's right.
Talk about that experience. And really what I love is that you were curious and you took action to learn. And sometimes people get stuck in that.
I feel like I am a forever student. I have a growth mindset. I'm constantly wanting to learn, invest in courses, read books. I'm just constantly inhaling information, if you will. And when Laura said, Stacey, I have this feeling that you might really enjoy this course, I was like, you know what? I'm ready to start investing in myself. And that's not something that I normally would have done. And I know you're a mother as well, and we spend all of our money on our children. There's very little where we're like, you know what? Let me do this for me. But this was calling. This was an absolute calling for me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to invest in this course for myself. And I remember Laura saying, oh, I love that. I love that you want to invest in yourself. And so I took this course. First day, I was like, oh, I'm hooked. I don't remember. This may have gone on. It could have been a weekly class for about 2 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing. I just loved the class so much. And afterwards, I was like, okay, I do see a lot of value in finding someone to help me launch. And Scott has been so helpful in that way. And at the time, I was like, okay, I'm a health coach. I have been a fitness nutrition specialist for like over a decade, but then I went a little bit more holistic and I became an integrative nutrition health coach. So I wanted to kind of talk about my non-negotiables, everything that I do in my daily life that helps me so much. And I just love health. And so that's where we were going. And then I was diagnosed with cancer. And then I was like, and pivot. So I ended up during that time taking a little bit of a break. You know, I was diagnosed actually in May. So around the time you launched, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And Scotty and I had been loosely starting to work on the podcast, but we ended up taking a little break. I had my double mastectomy like a month later, and it was just a gruesome recovery. But during that, I decided to keep a audio diary, if you will. I did voice memos every day, starting with on the drive to the hospital, 5 o'clock in the morning on the way to surgery. And then every day, just like my experience. And then it became like, all right, let's start opening up this conversation. There was so much that I had learned during this experience, and I wanted to share that with the world. I wanted women to know you're not alone. I wanted to help develop a community where we can kind of lean on each other and ask questions. And I started going more a holistic route too. And I just wanted to learn everything. I mean, I think you get sat down into a doctor's office and they're like, you have option A, B, or C. Well, what about D? You know, they don't talk about that. So then I reached out to like a naturopath. I got into Reiki. I mean, all of these natural modalities helped me so much. And so that's how, long story short, that's how my podcast actually got developed. Never Miss a Monday was after those non-negotiables. Like you never miss a Monday, exercising, eating well, like all of these things. But now it's like all of that saved me during my diagnosis. I leaned on to those non-negotiables even more. And I was so thankful that when I was diagnosed, I already had those practices in place. So that's really how my podcast came to be.
Yeah, I love the name of it because right away I knew, I'm like, I know Never Miss a Monday. Like for those of us in the space of wellness, fitness, nutrition, you know, as a workout person,
Yes.
if you're passionate about that, you don't miss a Monday.
Never.
Never, right? Because it sets up your whole week. And you and I, I'm sure, have missed Mondays before, and it feels off.
Off. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I would tell my clients every Monday, you guys just got the hardest workout out of the way. Congratulations. Let's go. You know, like never miss that Monday workout.
Yeah, exactly. And what I call this with my clients too is set the table for the day in terms of like, for me, I call it my Tony time. I love alliteration, but I sit there and talk about like, I work out in the morning, I meditate, I read, I eat a healthy breakfast, supplements, like these are the things. And then my day can go whatever way it's going to go because I set that table because most of my days are pretty standard, but there are some that are not. And you've experienced this with, I mean, your breast cancer diagnosis, double mastectomy. You and I were talking off air. My mom just passed away. So I imagine, and I want to ask you this, that there was some grief in what you experienced, perhaps with the double mastectomy. Or can you talk to me about the grief side of a cancer diagnosis, the surgery, and then the recovery from the surgery? Because you're a person that is active and wants to work out, and clearly you probably couldn't do that for a while. So I know there's a lot in that, but I want to learn from your experience.
That's a great question. And the grief is never ending. I'm just learning how to deal with it more. It's something where my surgeon was like, okay, it's about a month recovery, but for you, since you're active, maybe a few months. That was so false. I couldn't have, it was just fake news, right? It was like, no, that's not it. I could not move my arms or use my arms for 3 weeks. I had people spoon feeding me. I was in tremendous pain. I want to say the first week I was on heavy like narcotics around the clock. And then my first checkup, they're like, all right, Stacey, like let's try to wean you off of it. So then I had to go straight to Tylenol. And it was a learning curve for me, really learning how to, ask for help. I had people that had to help me around the clock. And if I can tell anyone, if you're about to go through this extensive surgery, having someone there with you all the time is absolutely necessary. I set up my kids really well. I had them because I had my surgery the day before they got out of school for summer break. And then I had friends picking them up every day, taking them places because I had camp not like 10 days after my surgery. So I had to fill 10 days. I knew I couldn't parent. That was so helpful. So for me, I was just in so much pain and then figuring all that out. I think I got clear to start walking at 3 weeks. So 3 weeks was like a big marker for me. Around a month, I was able to start driving very slowly. And I had something called expanders. They're called tissue expanders. So after they removed the breast, they put in this like blank implant that is like hard as a rock. And then at the 2 week mark of recovery, they start slowly filling you up. So what it is it's stretching the tissue of your, stretching your skin, stretching the tissue. So when you get to the place that you want, you stay there for a couple months and then they go into the reconstruction surgery and then put in the actual implant. That tissue expander was miserable. I'm glad I did it that way because I had more control over my body, but it was so uncomfortable. It was like sticking out of my skin. Even when I was cleared to exercise, it wasn't comfortable. So I had to pivot and I was like, walks feel great. Even though I was such a strength trainer, I fell in love with hikes and walking in nature. And have you heard of forest bathing at all?
I haven't.
So there's a lot of science in it where it actually can change your cells and just rejuvenate you. So it's actually physically very healthy to walk around trees. So I would drop my kids off to school and I would take a nature walk. And I tried to do that as many days as possible. I was not working at the time, so I had that flexibility that I was able to really like recover and go through that. And then it was not until November that I had my reconstructive surgery. And even when it was like the big, like they took off the bandages and like, here's the big reveal, I was like, do they look okay? I felt so detached from my body. And I still do. I can't, I have no feeling. I've lost all feeling in my breasts, which is something that they told me was most likely going to happen. And I just don't feel like myself, but this is now the new me. It's like, when I hear people say, oh, you're back to normal. No, I'm not ever going back. This is my new normal. And I'm thrilled that I have this new normal, but I will never go back to the way I was. And, it's a journey. It's a real journey. You do grieve because I did lose 2 body parts. And that's the reality of the situation. And I don't regret my decision. I did it for longevity. I did it for my kids. I did it because the mammogram did not pick this up. I did it because I didn't want to live in fear. And I know there's always a chance of reoccurrence, but I gave myself an even smaller chance of that.
Okay. So I was going to ask that. So what stage were you diagnosed at?
I was so lucky. I was stage 1, grade 1. Everything was like best case scenario. The only thing, when I found out I didn't have to have chemotherapy, I bawled my eyes out because that's what I was most afraid of, was just really losing the quality of life. And they said, oh, you're going to be on something called tamoxifen for 5 years. It's a chemo pill. It's a hormone blocker. It's no big deal. It took away my pleasure in life. I got very depressed. I was fatigued I don't know if have you had COVID?
I have.
Do you remember the COVID fatigue?
Yes, I was like, how I know when I had COVID, my hair follicles would hurt, but the fatigue was right there. I mean, so tired,
so tired. Like I had that 24/7. There was times I'd be out with my kids and I'd be like, we need to leave. I need to lie down right now. Like it was debilitating. I had massive brain fog. It was awful. And so after 4 months of that, with the aid of my naturopath and everything, I ended up taking myself off of that. And within a couple months, I felt so vibrant and I feel better than I did before cancer.
How old were you, Stacey, when you were diagnosed?
43.
43. And so you're 44 now.
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what would you say? I mean, that's young. I mean, you're young. So what do you say to, I mean, were you like, what do you say to people in their 40s first? Like, get your mammograms, right? Like,
You know,
do this.
it's kind of strange because mammograms have radiation, so it's almost like counter productive. It's like, yeah, right.
Yeah, you're
So
right. Yeah.
it's like, okay, yes, mammograms help save lives, but they also radiate you. Ultrasounds don't. Ultrasounds are amazing. You know, a radiologist will say there's no perfect imaging, so do both. I do have friends that do both. Self exam, I think, is number one. That is how we caught it. It was from like touch. That is how we caught it. And then I went for a mammogram and it didn't pick it up and said I was fine. And so I had to advocate for the ultrasound. It wasn't a given. So
Interesting.
for my, yes, there is, I know that they're starting to develop new science when it comes to imaging that is radiation free, which is amazing. But my recommendation is to do self exams often, starting at 30, because
Okay.
I know way too many women in their 30s that developed breast cancer. I would also, if you have a family history, get checked to see if you have the BRCA gene, because if you do, that turns you into a previvor, and then you have to really do a lot of testing so they can catch it early.
Do you,
So
do you have the BRCA gene?
I do not.
Okay. And is there history in your family?
I have an aunt that had breast cancer, but she was also negative for it. And it's my belief that there probably is a genetic marker that they just haven't found yet. Because I do believe that our bodies, you know, have these genetic components, and it could be like chronic stress or something in the environment that kind of wakes it up. Because this is our body. I mean, cancer is your own cell, it's just gone away, right? So I would just say definitely check yourself. So if you feel anything out of the ordinary, immediately ask. I hope to God that soon there's going to be something better than the mammogram, but ultrasound, even though it's more expensive, is radiation free, and you can see a lot more. They actually found my lump and then found two on my right breast that I did not know about that were considered benign. But when I removed my breast, when the lab report came back, my surgeon said, "Thank God you removed both breasts because they were already going to be precancerous."
Wow.
So
I mean,
ultrasound is king, in my opinion.
I right here just learning so much. And you said something that was so key in this, and what I experienced in my mom's journey through Alzheimer's. And you said advocate, and
Mm-hmm.
I cannot emphasize how that important that is. And I was saying, and I'd sit down with the health professionals in the space because I was learning about end of life with Alzheimer's, and I'm like, finally with hospice, I said, I'm not asking, I'm advocating right now.
Oh, that's beautiful. Mm-hmm.
And because, and that's what you're saying. It's like, and
Yes.
now I'm going literally from this conversation, and we're just 20 minutes in barely. I'm going to be asking when I go for my annual exam to say, I'd rather have an ultrasound, and
Mm-hmm.
start advocating for myself in that space because I had no idea until, and this is the power of you sharing your story. And at only 43 years old, experiencing this and making that decision to have a double mastectomy, and just all the things you've learned and the ongoing grieving, because
Yes.
you did lose two body parts. And
Yes.
unless, I mean, as a woman, I get it. Like that would be so hard. And so the grief, what does it look like today? Because you're starting to, you've recaptured your energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've had the reconstruction.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look beautiful. What does the grief look like now?
You know, it's just kind of getting to know my body, to be honest with you. I have been in physical therapy now for a couple of months. And that's something that I had to advocate for myself too. No one put me straight into physical therapy. I think they thought, well, she's been a trainer for like 15 years. She'll figure it out. No, I won't figure it out. I had such a lack of range of motion. And pretty much the surgeons at 6 weeks were like, okay, you're cleared. Just start slow. with exercise. Start slow. Like, what does that mean? I'm still lifting 3 and 5 pound weights. And this was already almost 4 months ago because of my range of motion. I'm going to hurt myself. So I'm working hard right now in creating that. And that actually is helping with my body image because it's putting me back to that activity level that I so desire. But I did do a lot of pivots. And I think that pivots are really important because when things are taken away, you can get depressed really quickly. But it's like, all right, let's pivot. Let's find something new, something that we're really going to enjoy. And I think these nature walks are going to be a part of my weekly life for the rest of my life. I'm just, so there's silver linings in all of it. But the grief really is, I mean, sometimes, to be honest with you, I hear like these terrible stories of these women where their implant, like your body rejects it and all of a sudden they have to go flat. That scares the bejesus out. Like that would feel like it would take away my femininity. Right now, I look different. I look great, but it's different and it's not me per se. And it's something that I'm getting used to. But I'm also look at these huge scars and I'm like, these are my warrior wounds. Like this is, I made the right decision for me and my family. So it's really mindset, to be honest.
100%. And how old are your kids?
My daughter's 11 and my son just turned 8 this last week.
Yeah. So that decision, I mean, the motivation behind the decision, they're at such impressionable ages. And so I've been talking about courage a lot lately. The difference between courage and confidence. Courage is it's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. But confidence feels really good because you go through the courage in order to have the confidence. And that's what your story is sounding like to me. You had the courage to do the double mastectomy. First you had the courage, like the ultrasound. Like there's so many moments of courage in that and where you took action. And it's so impressive to me that you are talking openly about it and teaching others. So I can't applaud you enough for your work in this space. Now I want to know this. Talk to me about the food and beverage side of this, because what we put into our bodies matters. Yes. At least that's what I believe.
Absolutely.
So what does that look like for you? Did your diet and did what you put in your body change after the cancer diagnosis, or were you already a clean living person prior? Tell me more.
It's such a great question because that's what I was struggling the most with. I was like, how did this happen to me? I am so healthy. I eat veganish. I don't have a name for it. I eat pasture-raised eggs, but I try to stay away from dairy. I probably have dairy maybe 6 times a year. It's very, very infrequent. But I'm plant-based and I eat lots of fruits and vegetables. My diet has not changed at all. My diet and food. Now, I also look at diet as holistic. It's what we listen to. It's who we spend our time with, as well as what we eat. That has shifted.
Okay.
That has shifted. My diet in allowing chronic stress into my life has massively shifted, to be honest with you, because I'll never know why I got diagnosed. I'll never understand it. But the one thing I could think about, and I've talked to so many women that have gone through something similar, that year before the diagnosis was their most stressful year. And it was massively stressful for me. So that was like, okay, my sister gifted me 2 sessions of Reiki. And the first session I was hooked and I was like, what is this magical form of self-care? And that is what has really shifted for me is now I'm a Reiki master. I started being a student after I took some classes and I was like, I want to help and give back to other women. And this was such an amazing form of stress relief for me. And so that was what changed, not actually what I put into my mouth, except alcohol. Alcohol I've cut back immensely from.
Yeah. I stopped drinking. This year it'll be 5 years. And
amazing.
Yeah, alcohol. I mean, there are direct. Not that this is the what, but there's, as you know, there's direct links to cancer, and that could have been part of it. You don't know, right? You just don't know. It could be a lot of things, but the alcohol. It just good for you because it's not easy. Our culture is saturated in alcohol,
right?
And finding other ways to reduce stress. So let's talk about Reiki because some people may be hearing that for the first time. You're in California. I'm in the Midwest. Things usually start in LA and New York City, and then they move into the Midwest.
Right. Is there any Reiki near you? Any Reiki, like holistic health centers?
I believe I have to Google it. There might be one. So explain to the listeners, because I have listeners
Yes.
all over the world, but specifically if they're listening in my hometown of Kalamazoo, Michigan, explain what Reiki is.
Yes, no, absolutely. So it's life force energy. It's really energy that we all have. It's our like biomechanic, it's a field of energy that we have. And I've just learned a way to become a vessel and to give energy to my client. And so what it can feel like you feel warmth coming from your practitioner's hands. It could feel incredibly relaxing. A lot of people knock out. They're just like in such a relaxed state. Some people can actually see like colors or symbols. Some people have emotional releases. So I work with like the 7 chakras of the body. It's our energy centers. And a lot of times when you're working on someone's heart that has had trauma, you'll see an emotional release of tears.
Mm.
It's a beautiful, beautiful practice where it can be for stress reduction, for overall health. I see the most benefit in stress reduction, and that, in itself will help with overall health.
Oh, that is. And would you say, going back to the
Mhm.
one of the biggest things you changed in your diet was
Yes.
stress reduction? Would you correlate the work you're doing with Reiki and becoming a Reiki master as the key to your stress reduction?
Absolutely. So I have been a daily meditator for as long as I can remember. The Chopra app I've used for so many years, and I wake up and I meditate while I'm still in bed. That's
Mm.
what I do every morning. Then I'm out of bed before anyone else wakes up in the house. And I do specific Reiki meditations, grounding meditations, where I'm centering myself in a standing position for like the rest of the day. And then I also try to take deep breaths throughout the day. Like I drive a lot. My kids go to school so far away. I'm in the car and then I'm doing like practice, like these deep breaths. And then Reiki, strangely enough, being a practitioner, when I provide Reiki to someone else, it's coming right back to me. So you would think standing up all day and practicing Reiki would be exhausting. It's quite the contrary. You feel rejuvenated, you feel energized after giving Reiki to someone else.
Okay. And that, so again, it's just giving back. Like it's such a
Yes.
theme for you, and healing. Like
Yes.
just so much healing. And because you're not even halfway through your life if you go to 100,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Which
So
I hope to. My grandma made it to 102 and I'm hoping to do the same.
so she was a centenarian.
Yes, she was.
Oh my gosh. So this is one of my goals, is to be a centenarian. Um,
Fantastic.
yeah. And so what would you say? I'm always fascinated when someone makes it to 100. What, in
Mm-hmm.
your opinion, what do you think was the secret to her longevity?
I can tell you from straight from her mouth what she used to say.
Mm.
She would say, never stop moving and have a glass of wine a night. So, what she was saying was stress reduction,
Yeah.
taking some time for herself. And even when she was in her 90s, I remember her at her banister doing plies. So, she was a dancer. My mother was a dancer. I was a dancer. She never stopped moving. She lived in a 3-story townhouse until she was 98 years old. And then she had a fall and then she moved in with my mom. But at that point, I mean, she would say she never felt old until that moment. So it wasn't until she was 98 years old. She was so youthful. And from what I see is that she took a lot of time for herself. She loved her family. She loved the theater. She was obsessed with the Dodgers. She got to meet Vin Scully a couple of times. Like she lived her life and she never stopped moving.
Yeah, I would agree. My dad's 82 and he's very active. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, very active. And he doesn't look 82. I think he's going to be around for a long time. And so that keep moving and doing,
Yes.
it really does.
It's the best advice,
Yeah.
honest to God. I mean, I hate to even say this because I am a nutritionist, but when you look at people that have made it that far, I mean, it really has everything to do with stress reduction and communication and community and connection with people, not feeling alone and constantly moving through life, dancing through life, honestly, is the key.
Oh, so did your son or daughter dance?
Strangely enough, my daughter, I put her into ballet and tap at age 3. And then around age 4, I could tell she wasn't having it. I said, Ava, are you doing this for you? Or are you doing this for me? And she said, Mommy, I'm doing this for you. And I said, then we don't have to do this anymore. And I ran home and I cried. I was like, okay, this is not what I was planning in my life. And she's now like a soccer star. She has her own path and she is moving to her own beat. My son, however, I really need to get into theater because he's the kid that sings and dances all throughout the house. So I think he'll be following more into my footsteps.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's so, and I mean, I know there were 3 generations of dancers,
Yes.
and for you to, she tried and,
Yes.
is going to be her, Ava, she's doing
Yeah.
her, good for her.
Yes.
So tell me more about the women in your life. We talked about your
Yeah.
grandma, we
Yeah.
talked about your daughter, but, and your mom, like who are
Mhm.
the women in your life that have made Stacey Stacey?
Oh man, that is amazing. Well, I've been really blessed with having 3 generations of friends from junior high that I just adore. My best friend lives in Jersey, and we've known each other since we were 12 years old. My sister's incredibly influential. I have this cousin crew where I have first and second cousins that are like my people, and I go to them with everything. Most of them live around here, which is amazing. But yeah, my mom, my sister, my grandmother, my cousins, so my family has been incredibly influential. And a lot of moms from my children's school that they switched schools this last year in districts, but those moms were everything to me. They still are everything to me. They kind of came together and became my blanket and my security. Moms from my daughter's soccer team have been amazing. So I have a lot of wonderful mom friends that just get it. And you don't even really have to ask, like they are there. They know what you need. So those are really the women that have shaped me for who I am. Mentors, Laura has been a mentor to me. And then Nicola, who's my Reiki master, was a great mentor to me as well.
Yeah. I love this because you are surrounded by a lot of women. Like you just
Yes.
rattled off this really extensive list. And how do you build connections with so many different women? And I this is a personal question because I struggle with this sometimes, not with women, but just because we're so busy, right? I mean,
Right.
you're a working mom, your
Yeah.
health was very much compromised over the last
Mhm.
year, and you're rebuilding into this new version of you. So how do you find the time to invest in these relationships?
So I hate to say this, this is not going to be helpful. I think it's natural for me. I love people. I love connecting. I
Mhm.
mean, connection and community is one of my non negotiables. It's so important to me. So I do, though, I have to say, I heard something somewhere like every day, just text someone, call someone, reach out to someone and just say, hey, how are you? I'm thinking about you. I
Mhm.
try to do that every day. I probably am not perfect with it, but I definitely, the people that are in my life know how much they're, loved and how much they're appreciated. I'm the one that I'm very social. I love being at home and cozy, but I also love going out and meeting people. So I will go and introduce myself to you. And I love meeting new faces all the time. My circle has gotten a lot larger. And I want everyone to know that I want to be there for everything. I'll let people know, like, please don't forget about me when my kids leave the school. Like, I still want to see you guys all the time. And they still invite me to things and I still see them often. So I think being honest and just saying, I really want to be around you, and letting people know how important they are to you.
Yeah, people give you energy. And
Yes.
and that actually goes right back to the Reiki
Yep.
piece. Truly,
Hmm.
people give you because there are if we were to label you an extrovert, right, where you
Hmm.
get energy from people, but and introverts get energy from solitude, right? And
Yes.
so, but I believe we have a little bit of all of that
Yes.
in us
Absolutely.
because at times we just need to recharge. But because people give me energy too. Now, have you found being a podcaster that also allows you to invest in relationships? Because I feel that way. Like I get
Yes.
this one-on-one time with old friends, new. I mean, I get to build relationships on this platform. Do you find that to be true with your podcast?
Absolutely. And so the first season was really about the people that helped shape me and really helped me through my cancer journey. So they're all like strong figures in my life. And now my second season is going to be more of people that maybe I don't know that well, such as you, who inspire me. And so, the first episode, the first season was all about like survivor mindset. And now we're going to go into people that I'm like seeing that are giving back to the world and making this world a more beautiful place. So I'm so excited to meet and explore new friendships in my second season.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. Do you know
Mhm.
anyone from Michigan?
I do. I have a good friend in Michigan,
Oh, really? Besides me and
The Upper Peninsula. She's the UP.
okay, she's in the UP. Oh,
Yeah,
very cool. So that's awesome. So now you know two people in Michigan.
that's right.
So I'm in Southwest Michigan. So the UP from me is about 7, 8 hours away,
Oh,
depending on how
wow.
far up in the UP she is. So
Okay.
yeah. Oh, that's very cool. Have you been to Michigan?
No, I would love to. I've not been.
Well, because you love like forest bathing,
Oh,
this state
yes.
is for you. So, oh, that
My
is
friend actually sends me photos when she's on nature walks, and they're just, I'm like, yes, I need to come visit you. I know I need to come visit you. These are
now.
beautiful.
Speaking of forests, were you affected by the fires?
Thankfully not. It felt like it was all around us, but we
Oh,
never had to evacuate. We were so lucky.
have you experienced that before living in California to that
No,
magnitude?
that's
Okay.
never happened in California. We always have fire seasons when the Santa Anas come, but we hadn't had a rainfall, I think, since last May, and things were really dry. And this was it was terrifying. I think everyone here were on like their fire watch app all the time to see new fires coming up, how quickly things were blazing, checking in with friends and family all the time, like, are you guys okay? My parents had really good friends that were evacuated. They were out of their home for weeks that were staying with my parents. We had, so my husband is a dog trainer, and we had dogs coming to stay with us that they lost their homes
Wow.
and their owners were trying to figure things out. And it was just a really scary few weeks in Los Angeles for sure.
Well, one day, your husband being a dog trainer, my
Mhm.
husband, he too likes to act and do, he has alter egos. And one of
Okay.
his alter egos is he named Mike Iron dog trainer to the stars.
All right.
He trained our dog Jack to be a bird hunter.
Oh,
He's a black lab and he's a bird hunter. But your husband's an actual
a
dog trainer.
real life dog trainer.
Yeah, I'll let my husband
Yes.
Josh know that I have a connection now to an actual dog trainer, not a
Yes.
made up one.
Yes. That's really funny.
Oh,
I love that.
he's a character, but it made me think of that. Okay, so I want to know. So I named my podcast "Women in dot
Mhm.
dot dot" for a reason, because I'm a woman in sports and I'm a minority as a general manager of a men's professional hockey team. And when I first
Amazing.
launched it, I was like, I'll talk about women in sports. And I'm like, no, I want to broaden it
Mhm.
because we women are in. I mean, that's just one facet of me. Like I'm a lot of different things. And so I wanted to tell stories from men and women because this is about inclusivity,
Mhm.
and let them fill in the dots. So, how would you describe the three dots, like women in, and how would you fill in that blank for you?
Women in wellness,
Yeah.
women in breast cancer awareness.
Mhm.
I think those are my two. I have an obsession with wellness. I just love feeling great, and I love giving wellness, tips to others that are attainable. I also love connecting with other women that are recently diagnosed, that are very lost and very scared, and just to let them know that they're not alone and that I'm here to help guide them. That has now turned into a true passion in my life.
What resources do you point people to who are recently diagnosed? Like, what helped you when you were like, where do I go? So, yeah, share with my audience
That's
where they could go.
such a great question. Now, the missing piece, I believe, right now in our medical system is integrative oncologists and integrative healthcare. So what I did, and it's not a perfect system, and I hope one day it is, I had great surgeons. I really loved my medical team, but I didn't feel inclusive enough. So that's when I reached out to a naturopath. So having both is really, really important because some towns are lucky enough to have these integrative oncologists and doctors, but it probably isn't covered by insurance as well. And so having a specialist on both sides, so PhD and MD, that helps, like gives you the full picture of everything, I think is so incredibly important. I also tell people about my podcast. I'm like, you're going to hear other women's stories. Like every woman that's diagnosed with breast cancer has a different story.
Yeah.
So the community is so incredibly important, talking to as many people. There's an organization called the Breasties that I tell everyone to go to. They call themselves the worst club with the best members. And it's just women that are previvors that carry the gene that have not been diagnosed. There's women that have been diagnosed, are gearing up for surgery and treatments. Even caregivers are on this site, and everyone just asks a bunch of questions, and you get such great resources from that huge community.
Wow, so we host each year. One of the things we do at the Kalamazoo Wings, because we're very community focused, we have 5 colored ice games each hockey season, and orange ice is for Halloween, lavender ice is for hockey fights cancer. That's like all the cancers. Then we have rainbow ice, which is hockey is for everyone, about diversity, equity, inclusion. We have green ice for St. Patrick's Day, and for Valentine's Day, we do pink ice in conjunction with breast cancer awareness. So we
Beautiful.
just had that game on Valentine's Day, sold out. We gave away T-shirts in partnership with our local hospital, and on the front it said "Fearless Fighter," and they were pink T-shirts.
That was beautiful, Tony. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about raising money and helping others. And one of my friends who lives in Kalamazoo, she just was re-diagnosed with cancer again, and we do like a ceremony pregame where cancer survivors, we put them on the big screen, and any type of cancer, and men and women, because I'd like to point out, and I'm sure because you're immersed in this world now, breast cancer doesn't affect women.
So true.
Yeah, it affects men.
It's really rare, but it does happen. And men need to be on the lookout as well. Absolutely.
Yes, we've tell stories, and we've had a gentleman share his story about having breast cancer, and just, it's not just a female thing.
It's interesting. A friend of mine who was diagnosed, she was a previvor. She was diagnosed in her early 30s with breast cancer. She did not find out she was BRCA positive. She thinks it was from her father. Her father, unfortunately, had passed, and she wasn't able to get tested, but she thinks she got the gene from her father.
So, and where can people go to get that testing done if they want to know?
It's so available now. I think all you have to do is ask your doctor. And it's just getting, some blood work done. And then you find out, and it's not just BRCA. I mean, they test, there's like hundreds of genetic components that they can test. And so it's brilliant to have nowadays, for sure.
Can you get it done through the, like the genetic 23andMe and things like that too, through the saliva piece?
I believe you can see if you're BRCA positive, but I don't know about the rest of that. Yeah. But then, some people might not want to find millions of family members all over the world. So they might not want to go that route. So you can definitely go, through your doctor. But I do think 23andMe does include BRCA, if I remember correctly.
That's what I recall too, because I did 23andMe to find out my genetics as it relates to Alzheimer's, because that's what my mom passed away from. So there's 4 genes. And I'm considered high risk because I'm a woman, I'm white, and a direct descendant of my mother who died of Alzheimer's. And so I have one of the 4 genes, and which considers me low risk, but it also had the BRCA gene piece, and I was negative for that. So, but I found it to be helpful. But to your point, I have all these relatives now.
Yes, right?
And then
some people are okay with it, some are not.
I know. Okay, a couple more questions. You said you're an avid learner.
Yes.
What book would you recommend that anyone listening to this read?
Oh my God, The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. It's a game changer in life. Have you read it?
I haven't, but I've had another podcast interview today, and guess what book they recommended?
I'm telling you, it's that good. It's that good. I read it. I have a book club. And that was the first book of 2025. And it couldn't have been a better book. Okay. Honestly, it's not like any new theories, but she is so brilliant with how she explained things and uses her personal experiences. And I found it to be impactful. And our book club meeting was my favorite book club meeting we ever had after discussing this. And I have so many friends and family that are reading it now and applying it to everyday life. Everyone, it's a must read, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, now that I've heard it twice today, it's on my list, but I'm getting to it. I read my age every year. And so
I did hear that. That's so cool.
Yeah. So it's just, I'm always asking for recommendations, and so that it's going to the top of the list.
Well, now two people told you, so
yeah, it's at the top of the list.
Okay, good. Do you do Audible or do you read hardback? Or
Both.
both? Okay.
About 50-50 of each, like half
Okay.
in my car. To your point, I'm in the car a
Yes.
lot. And
Yes.
then the other half at home on airplanes,
Beautiful.
in bed, whatever.
Love that, Tony.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's a stress reliever for me,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
All right. What have you changed your mind about recently? I like to ask this question because we've talked about some big things, like you changed your mind about what role stress played in your life,
Mhm.
and that's a big thing. But like I changed my mind about my relationship with alcohol.
Mm.
That's a big thing. But I mean, it could be something small too. Maybe you didn't
Mhm.
eat onions and now you do. I don't know. But what what have you changed your mind about recently?
Putting myself first.
Mm,
I think that is something that, especially as a mother, I'll speak because I am a mother, that is a really hard thing and it's not very natural. So putting myself first, I think and I've actually seen that once I put myself first and my cup is full, I'm able to fill others' cups a lot more because I love giving back, but my toxic trait was overextending. And now I make sure and I have boundaries and I really put myself first.
I call that being self-full.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Self-full.
Yeah. Because a lot of women, to your point, feel like they're being selfish. And I
Yes.
said, and I'm always like, let's try to look at this a different way. It's being self-full, because if you are 100% whole and feel the best version of yourself, that ripple effect
Right.
is going to everyone around you, your
It's
husband,
so
your
true.
kids, your friends, your family, all those beautiful people in your life. So,
Yep, absolutely.
oh, I love that. All right. If the people want to learn more about you, they want to listen to your podcast, they
Mhm.
want to know what you're doing, they want to follow you on social media, where can people find you, Stacey?
Thanks, Tony. So my podcast is Never Miss a Monday. I'm on Instagram, Self Care with Stacey. I have a hyphen in between each word. I also have Never Miss a Monday podcast on Instagram, and my website is selfcarewithstacey.com.
Awesome. Well, I encourage anyone to reach out to Stacey, especially in the breast cancer space, because of your experience there and anything health and wellness related. And thank you again for sharing your story and
My
um,
pleasure.
teaching me some things today that I didn't know, because I love to learn too. I loved what you said, inhaling information. I wrote that down because I'm the same way.
You
So
do the same thing.
yeah, I just inhaled so much information from our
Yeah.
time together. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate you and what you're doing as well.
Thank you. Oh, thanks. Well, if anyone needs to find me, I'm not hard to find. kwings.com, mindfulnesselevated.com, tonywillcoaching.com. I'm only on 3 social media platforms because that's all I have time for. I'm on Instagram at I'm Tony Will, and Facebook and LinkedIn at Tony Lentini Will. And until next time.